In the Apocalypse of St. John, it is stated, "A seated woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and under her head a crown of 12 stars. And being with child, she cried, travailing in birth, and was in pain to be delivered." So, this description is identical with the third card of the major arcana. That is the card of Venus. Most people know this card as the Empress. It has different names for the spirit, psychic and physical. That will be Divina Natura, Partus, and Generatus. Another title will be Venus Celestial Venus, Venus Urania, and Physis, which is the nature. This card, the symbolism in this card shows everything that has to do with the womb, the mother, and the matrix of creation. The word matrix comes and it is connected with the mother, something that generates and creates a generative principle, a generative, attractive. How it does the generation, how the generation happens. The idea of creation in this card is of course connected with love, the element of attraction, universal gravitation, or love, universal love, are just manifestation of one high principle that is the same attraction. Of course, the goddess of love is Venus, and that explains to us why the name is like that. And the picture shows a woman crowned with 12 stars, symbolizing the signs of the zodiac. The principle of birth on the physical plane is connected with the phases of solar energy received by the Earth. Therefore, the zodiac is there. The phases are determined by the position of the sun in a particular zodiac sign. That's why the zodiac itself is considered as a hint, a clue for various properties in the physical plane. So, the planetary love, the center of attraction, is the sun for our solar system. So, the sun as a center of emanated life and of all creation. In the left hand, the woman holds a scepter with a sign of Venus, and that means that she reigns forever with her love over all that has been born and all that is and all that will be born. The sign of Venus itself is a synthesis of two symbols, a circle and a circle with a dot in the center, usually, sometimes without it. When it is like that, it belongs to the sun, as we said, for the creative emanations, and the cross. This is the world of the elements. That means that all the influences of the surroundings. Therefore, love brings a victory of creative emanations over obstacles arising from those surroundings. In her right hand, the woman holds a shield. There are different depictions of these cards. In some, there is an eagle. The eagle indicates the fact that the idea of creation extends itself over the highest regions of the astral. Also, sometimes there is a square-shaped, I don't know if it's sometimes, I think it's in all of the cards, a square-shaped cross hangs around the neck of this symbol, the eagle, and that is that, just to remind you that active and passive principle is a natural thing that is needed for the process of birth to be happen. Also, the woman is seated in a cube. That is also happened to other cards like the Emperor or the Evil card, but you need to pay attention to the globe. Globe, of course, is our 3D, the manifested universe, the physical plane, the physical universe. And on her left foot there is a moon, symbolizing the sublunar or the infernal, not infernal, but the lowest realm, the sublunar world. Therefore, that means that love, the creative emanations, they rule from the highest to the lowest. That's from the lowest to the highest. That is the symbolism. There is also the wings of the sun clothing her. That is to remind us about the earthly Isis. The word Isis, of course, from the goddess of love, Isis. Even the word, the city Paris comes from Parisis, which means of Isis, the city of love. And from the earthly Isis, from physical attractions, to the celestial Isis, which is, of course, a celestial attraction, a celestial attraction, spiritual, a celestial attraction. Let's not label it in another way. Therefore, nothing is created, but everything is born. And there is always an active principle that fecundates a passive one, and therefore brings a birth. This third element is the child. So we have father, mother, and child, active, passive, and neutral. These things, the active, which is the spirit, always, the passive, which is the nature, and the man, which is the neutralizing principle. This is also the God in God, God the Father, and God manifesting in humanity. Whatever way you want to see it, there are a trinity, three things, past, the present, and the future, and they all correspond, they are connected. For example, if someone wants to change his destiny, he needs to know this, because if you don't know that the active is the archetype, the spirit, and it's always present, and that man, which is in the center, which is in the present, needs to activate his will to the past, to his surrounding, to nature. Nature and past is connected. It's just a cyclical, repetitive thing, repetitive impression. And that way, a new future will be born. If you don't know that, you need to be present, and you need to be and you need to activate with your will certain impressions to change your future, you will always think it's You need to wait for fate. You need to know this. It's a very important thing. And there is also a way to understand how the samskaras, what people call usually karma, the fixed things or what accidentally happen and how fate and the will of humanity works, because this is why affirmations also are in the present. They're not in the past, they are in the present, because this is from where you can imprint will. This is occult knowledge, and it comes from this, from the way of creation and the card. It's a very powerful knowledge to know. Therefore, you have a higher plane, a spirit that it illuminates the present with light, or from the present you can see the providence in the world. And there is the humanity's will, who wants to create a new future, but it is restricted by fate or past or natural, or not natural, from repetitive impressions from the past. It's the same thing. You can also see it like fate uses the past impressions to control certain things. If your will is allied with the influence of the present and the light, your intuition, higher guidance, then it is stronger than fate, and you can change your future, and everything becomes evolutionary, and things change, and it takes it at least in the beginning it takes a lot of willpower to do that, because people are conditioned. This is what conditioning is, just a repetition. And to imprint a new thing, it takes willpower. If you ignore this and you try to fight fate, change your circumstances without having a guidance and grace, then everything depends upon the relations of forces and your surroundings, and you can't calculate. If you choose to ignore, if you know and you act like you don't know, then you will lose. You will have a very serious problem to deal with. Also, if you choose not only to ignore but to do the opposite, like being evil, even though you are like, even though you have seen it, it's so bad, like you fuck up so hard life of others, and it just, you need to purify this. There's a lot of pain. So this is the truth about the card and how the Trinity works for the active, passive, and how things are being happening, how you overcome fate. And thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.